What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you are listening to Liquid Kernedge. What's up, buddy?
Scotty, it feels like the distance is still a tough pill to swallow, but at least I get a little time during the week to talk with you, talk to our fans, talk to people who haven't heard us yet but are going to want to hear us all day long.
Absolutely, man. It's great because, I know we are still working on trying to find a better recording system, so we're going through Skype right now. We are actually on the video chat as we're recording this, and I'm staring at Jason's belly button because I'm not sure what he's doing with the technical equipment. So this is a whole new endeavor. This is weird for what I'm. So I'm just going to keep on talking about something else. How's your new job going, buddy?
Good, man. It's going really good. No, I'm actually really liking a lot, man. This job is, it started off kind of weird. So my very first day I got there, I had 1,000 emails. My first day working at United Health Group, Optum 360, 1,000
emails.
1,000 emails in my inbox, 1,000. And I started on January 2nd, so this is only for the last week. And I started going through, and I was thinking about when I was at KRMC, if I got 1,000 emails in a month, that was a busy month. That was a busy month. And so yeah, I get a ton of emails. But one of the things about this job that I really like, Scott, is that everything is virtual. Everything. Yeah. Like I sit in a room of about 700, or it's a floor, second floor of a building that I'm in, and there's probably 700 cubicles. Only about 100 of them ever have people in them because everyone else works remotely. Everybody works remotely. I'll never meet any of my coworkers because all of them work all over the United States. I have a computer that has a phone tied to it, so whenever I get a phone call, it comes in through my computer. I do WebExes all the time. I literally sit at my computer all day, and I'm in meetings all day long.
Wow.
But yeah, go ahead.
All your coworkers, so all those other 100 people you don't actually work with. They work with the same company, but that's not your department. Yeah,
they don't work necessarily for me. I work in the support function for the groups, but I never talk to them. I never see them for the most part unless they're walking around the halls. It is basically it's a virtual world at my office.
I guess that makes your Christmas party a whole lot easier to shop for this year for the Secret Santa.
I think I'll just get myself something nice, man. I'll just buy myself. I'm gonna choose my name right now. I'm gonna choose my name and actually I see you because of the video more than I see anyone else. So
wow.
Yeah. But it got me thinking because we're moving into this virtual world and remote working and so I thought today it'd be a good topic to kind of bring up how our world is changing. I will give you a reference point. Before 1960, they said that 60% of Americans went to one movie at a movie theater a week. One movie a week.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that number now is down to 10%.
Well, yeah.
Because now we're doing Netflix or we're doing, streaming videos off Amazon Prime and I think about it myself. I love movies, and yet I maybe go once a month, maybe.
Well, it's because you live in Phoenix now. If you live next to our former intern JP, he likes to go every week. It doesn't matter what the movie is, so we're still going fairly regularly to go see those new movies, and then he'll turn around and buy them as well.
So you guys are you guys are like the 10%ers, and I like that you guys keep the business going. Yeah. But I think about the work environment, and when you were back in even in the 90s, the idea of someone actually going and working from home was kind of a foreign concept. I mean, it never would have happened. But with technology and with
up until the internet, working remotely was just it was pie in the sky. I'm not sure how you could actually do it. Even before cell phones, you had to have a dedicated work line.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow, that hurt. I'm sorry that hurt. I apologize.
I would say over the last 15 years, probably, give or take, as technology has advanced, as we've gotten broadband, internet, cable internet, DSL, the work-from-home contingent has only grown, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
And right now they say that about 3% of the working population, about 4 million people, work from home remotely right now.
Now, do you eventually get to work from home in your new position?
Yeah. So eventually, once I get trained and get kind of my feet wet with supporting the softwares. The goal is that within the next 6 months, maybe a year, that I'll be able to transition into work remotely. So I'll basically I'll be from home. And at first I was a little worried because I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to see my customers. I'm not going to see, all the people that I have to deal with on a regular basis.
But you don't see them now.
I don't see them now. And so it got me thinking, we're moving into this virtual world. What do you think, Scott? You think you could do your job working remotely?
I would love to do my job working remotely. My job is very mobile for what I do. I'm always out and about and on the go. I like having a desk in our department, in our office, because I have a place to land, so to speak. But I could do my job working from home or working from anywhere, really, in our community. So that's something I would love to do, and I'm trying to hopefully transition it to that later on.
I did some studying of kind of the dynamics of working from home, and they said that the average remote worker is 35 and older. Mm-hmm. They usually have a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm. So far, I fit this demographic.
You fit the demographic, and most of the time, these people also have been in careers longer than like 10 years.
Nah, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting closer.
No, but I mean,
so you're fairly seasoned in your career is the reason they trust you for what you're doing to be able to work remotely.
Well, you find it interesting. I did some research on it, and they say that studies have shown that actually remote workers have better productivity and more efficiency because for a couple reasons. One, they don't have the distractions of work. You know how sometimes when you're at a workplace and someone comes in and pops in and says, "Hey, can I talk to you about this?" Or, "Hey, can you want to just talk about the fantasy football from last week?" So the distractions are less, but also
or a goddamn useless meeting.
But also, a lot of remote workers, they'll say, "You know what? I've got to take my kids to the dental office, so I'm going to work later tonight when I get back."
Yeah.
Versus I work 8 to 5 or I work 8 to 4:30 or whatever the schedule is.
Well, that's kind of the joy of being salary too. If you can work from home on your salary, your job never really ends. You're always you always have to be there to do it one way or the other. Your 8 hours might not be 8 consecutive hours. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and in a United Health Group where I work, there's a lot of employees that are hourly employees, and they just submit their time cards electronically going into the time card reporting system. So even that even that concept that you can't trust an employee because they're not clocking in or out, what they're saying is, at least at United Health Group, is we trust you. We've hired you. We've done the screening process. We trust you to do the work you're supposed to do. And so a lot of these employees that work in my office where they're not there are hourly employees. So even that distinction is kind of going by the wayside.
What I like about that concept right there is that your company is looking at them and saying, like you said, you've done our background check. You have your education. We trust you. Here's your job. Do your job. And I think that's what anybody wants this day and age, is to just have a job they know what they're doing and they can be trusted at.
And Scott, I got to tell you, man, when I'm at work from 7:30 in the morning till about 3:30 in the afternoon, I'm at my computer. I don't leave my desk because I'm in meetings or I'm working on a project where I have to research something for the boss. So frankly, even if I wanted to fuck around and not do my work, I really don't have an opportunity because I'm in meetings or I'm on conference calls or I'm doing research for something. So you're right. I mean, they trust me. They trust that they've done the screening process that I'm going to be a good employee, but they also, it's faster pace. It's a faster pace because you've got this meeting, and then once that meeting's over, then you got the next meeting, and then that meeting's over, and you got the next meeting, and so they're constantly working and doing things remotely. I remember when I worked at KRMC, one of the things that we had talked about wanting to do is give people the flexibility to maybe work one day a week from home. Uh-huh. And at the time, the policy of the hospital was they didn't let anyone work because obviously nurses can't work from home and doctors can't work from home. So they didn't want to have a special group of people that worked from home, but no one else got to.
Yeah. Well, I think that's changing now, though, across the board, not just, in smaller industries like our hospital here in Kingman. it's a lot of companies that, because it's saving on overhead costs. You don't have to have buildings to rent. You don't have to have space for them. You just have to give them their equipment and maybe a phone, you know?
Right. Well, and that was another thing. So another benefit of a home of remote workers is the companies that have a remote workers, they say they average a savings annually of about $11,000 per employee. And the reason why they save so much is because they have to have less office space, less supplies, power, electricity, phone line costs are less, so infrastructure. So if you thought about it, so the hospital has 1,800 employees, and let's say that 300 of them are non-clinical positions that they could work remotely. Times 11,000 a year, that's what, $3 million, $3,300,000.
Yeah, that's a considerable savings.
I mean, that's a considerable savings. Now, I don't know if the hospital could ever do that, but it seems like that kind of savings would be worth it for them to look into and maybe do. I know the United Health Group has looked into it. I want to reach out to all the people that are listening. Give us some feedback on Facebook or Twitter. Do you think you could do your job remotely? And if you could do your job remotely, would you?
Yeah, all at Liquid Kernedge on Facebook and Twitter too. And also, just a side note on Twitter, not to change the subject, but our executive producer Tom has his own Twitter handle now, Liquid Kernedge _EP. That is Tom, our executive producer, just giving him a shout out. I want to see this on the notes when we get them on Thursday or Friday. He is freezing in Cleveland this week for a conference. So, yeah, exactly. Better you than me.
Hey, Tom. I will say this though. I just to go off topic real quick. We met some people on a cruise that were from Cleveland, and they said that actually Cleveland is one of the coolest cities in the Midwest. It's a really nice city. The way they explained it made me want to go travel there sometime.
Yeah, I'd go check it out. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What lake are they next to? Lake Erie?
Yeah, Lake Erie. Lake Erie.
It seems like a bunch of cool places.
But I guess
the food district looks amazing.
I guess they have the theater district of the Midwest is what I've rumored, that like Broadway shows, tons of Broadway shows, and there's lots to do there, I guess. A couple other benefits of remote working are a lower stress because people don't have to drive to work, get caught in traffic.
They can travel cross country and visit other places and work from there too.
Yep.
So
it reduces turnover because it gives people the flexibility that they don't have to choose their life over their job, which I thought was interesting. Helps with family environment. This one I found interesting. 40 years ago, 50 years ago, families could survive with one person working, one person staying home. They can't do that anymore. Most families cannot survive on one income. So they said that
2.5 income family now.
So what they said, what the remote workforce allows people to do is it's morphing or transitioning to a stay-at-home parent and a working parent, but the stay-at-home parent just does their job there as well. So at least they get a little bit of the flexibility to say, hey, I'm going to take my kids to school today, or I got to take my kids to the dentist this afternoon, and yet still be able to support a two-family. I thought that was kind of interesting that we're transitioning from 40 years ago where you had one person work, one person stay home. Now we're transitioning into two people can work, but one gets to work from home.
Yeah, and when you look at it, you can build off that with the rest of our world and how it's changing with it too. That now you have online shopping, like you mentioned earlier, streaming videos, music. Everything is virtual now. You don't have to have everything in hand, and that's an adjustment for a lot of people. I'm in that age demographic where I should be technologically savvy, and I am in some areas, and there's other areas where I'm starting to get left behind in the dust by the kids. I don't know what the newest, coolest thing is anymore, but I know how to use, Netflix and Amazon Prime and run Skype and stuff like that. I know the basics, but I don't have all the hottest, latest, and greatest.
Well, and that's interesting you say that because obviously the young kids are going to really start transitioning to more work at home. But one of the other benefits that they discovered is the older employees, the ones that are in their 60s but aren't quite ready to retire, being able to work remotely gives them the ability to maintain employment, but also it maintains their experience for these companies that want to utilize their experience but don't necessarily need them to be in the office to do it. So I thought, there's so much going on that's so positive, and yet the one thing that the remote worker doesn't get is that face-to-face contact with other people.
Yeah. Well, that's where the virtual world comes in now, because everything's living so virtually, and as we transition to the next great generation that takes over the working force, well, once we're in the full swing of the millennials right now, and whatever comes after them, I'm sure they'll be all technological from birth, essentially. I mean, how many kids do you see with iPads and little tablets at restaurants, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds that know how to work it better than we do?
Hey, let me ask you a question. So this got me thinking, how important do you think it is to have that face-to-face contact, just from a social perspective, the ability to say you see people or you interact with other people?
I think it's huge.
Because I think
it's a lost art.
And it definitely puts a kibosh on that.
Yeah, no, it's a lost art. You have to have, and the upside is there are some jobs in this world that can never be virtual. There are some things in this world that can never be done over the internet. You have to do it. You have to be in person to see it, to experience it, to do it. And, I feel like that's important. I don't want social communication and social interaction to be lost in this generation of virtual living.
Well,
I mean, when you go, how often do you go to the grocery store? No, let me change that. Let me rephrase that. Not the grocery store. If you need to order a piece of equipment for your computer or a new video game, do you go to Target or Best Buy down there, or do you order it off Amazon?
Usually order off Amazon.
So if you order off Amazon, instead of having the instant gratification, well, there's a distribution center down in Phoenix. It's there the next day. And
yet so many people. And so I'm looking at the other way. So many people just want the flexibility to go to their phone. I need this new part. Boom. They move on with whatever they're doing. They don't have to drive to the store. They don't have to drive and deal with lines or people. And that's funny that we segue into that, because I got some numbers of some of the new online things that are happening. Last year, in 2017, retail sales made up 9.5% of all purchases online. So our purchases from retail stores was 9.5% of the total number, which doesn't sound like a lot. However, 7 years ago, it was 2.5% of
so the
all
number's
purchases.
Steadily climbing.
It's climbed 400% in the last 7 years. And as Amazon goes out and gets more things, and as some of these other retailers find ways to stream and get things, like Walmart has done it, and Amazon, obviously, all the big convenience stores, but we're seeing it in our little town. Kmart is closing shop.
Well, Kmart's gone. But, if you look at Amazon, they're actually looking at buying Target this year. So they're doing the reverse of what the world's going to. They're looking at going into brick and mortar and having actual retail stores in the communities.
And
and they've already got experimental stores in Seattle up there where as long as you have a Prime account, and I'm not quite sure how they do this, they give you a little key tag or whatever, you can shop and it monitors what you get as you walk out, so you don't even pay, it just goes straight to your Amazon account.
Yeah, and that's incredible. I mean, all like Woolworths. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, Woolworths was a big thing. I mean, that was big time. That was a big time department store. Now you're never going to hear them. Kmart's going away. JCPenney and Sears are pretty much on their last legs. We've lost, Forever 21, and we're maybe not Forever 21.
Did we ever really lose Forever 21?
Well, I lost Forever 21 about 25 years ago.
By the time we lost Forever 21, we were too old for Forever 21, so that one doesn't count.
Okay, so the people are going away from that, and I'm not sure whether or not that's a good thing or not. I know that sometimes I don't want to go to the store.
But some things are never going to go away.
Like what? Like besides clinicals,
grocery stores, those will never go away. Restaurants will never go away.
I don't know about that. How about this? Maybe not in the small towns, but in big cities, you can order Amazon groceries, and they'll be delivered. Some of them will be delivered. Some of you can go.
Even still with the groceries, which my brother does that down in Phoenix, or Tom
because
does that down in Phoenix, or he has.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And he said he's gotten them the same day on slow mail days. But on that same point, you can't go and order a quart of milk off Amazon that you need for your kid's breakfast the next morning and hope it's going to be there. Sometimes you have to go to the store.
Yeah, but I know. But Scott, 15 years ago, did you think that you would be able to work remotely?
Yeah, but 15 years from now, I'm still going to want to go to the store to get my stuff when it comes to groceries, because for me, that's my relaxing time. And I'm not the only one that feels like that.
Well, obviously, 90% of the people still buy their stuff, buy their things at a store. And let's be honest, Victoria's Secret, you got to go in the store, man. You got to go in the store.
Well, most clothing stores you have to, because different cuts, different, an extra large with one brand is a different extra large in another brand. So you have to find, the style and sizes that actually fit you for that brand, and that's hard.
And frankly, if I don't get the right thong fit, it just doesn't go well for me, dude.
Yeah, I know. You need that G-string, otherwise it rides up and you're cranky all day.
Okay, so let's do a couple more. So what percentage of people do you think do online dating now? Have admitted to doing being on an online dating website?
I'd say 70%.
Okay. 15% of people admit that they have gone on to an online dating site.
15%? That is a lie. That's fake news.
You think that's fake?
Fake news. They're lying to you.
I don't know, I mean, it's just like, I'm sure.
All those 3-day trials, all those different websites out there, no, they're fucking lying to you. Anyone that's been single for a significant period of time over the last 15 years has at some point tried it.
So when my grandfather passed away, my grandmother was still relatively young, like 65 years old. And my grandmother, she's gone now, but at that time, she still liked a little companionship. She still had something to give. And so back in those days, you placed an ad in a newspaper, right? So she placed an ad in a newspaper, and the only thing she had on the ad was her first name and a phone number. A guy called her and said, "Hey, I really want to meet you. I want to find out more about you. Tell me your full name and your address and blah, blah, blah." And she said, "No, absolutely not. I don't do that. That's not the way I work." And she hung up. That was like on a Thursday night. Sunday, she gets a call from the guy. "Your name is Thelma so-and-so. Your address is this and your phone number is this. And I want to take you out on a date." I guess what he did is Friday morning, he bought 2 bottles of whiskey and looked through every single name in the phone book till he found the phone number.
That's desperation. I'm sorry. That's desperation. That's not romance. That's desperation.
No. Back in those days, that's romantic. No, the problem was my grandmother's last name starts with a W, so he had to go through the entire phone book before he found her name.
Oh my God.
And they ultimately started dating, and that was the man that she had her last relationship with.
How do you not see that as creepy?
Because I think you got to remember, it's 40 years ago. Back then, he's 65 years old. She's 65. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do?
So.
That's love, man. That's love.
We all define love differently.
Yes. But I think about that online dating used to be single white male searching for single white female, blah, blah, blah.
Nowadays, you can only swipe right so many times before,
Well, and how much of it is just a physical thing? I mean, when you go to those online, I've never been on I've never registered for an online dating because I haven't really needed to during the time when those started to really boom. But, so many of them, you're just looking at a face. I shouldn't say that. We know that Stephanie has said that she's seen dick pics. She's seen pics. She's seen Batman pics. I mean, she's seen everything. Yeah, so a lot has changed. This one you might find interesting, Scott. So how many percentage of people are currently enrolled in an online college?
I'd say 30%.
Of the college students that are out there.
30%.
Yep, 28%. 28% of people are online are currently in an online college. Now,
here's my problem with online colleges, and I've said this before, and I've been very vocal about it. I'm not completely sold on the education that they give their students, and I have a big problem with online schools for that reason, because so many of these colleges are they're diploma factories. It used to be when you wanted your MBA, instead of rolling right into it, you had to have 2 years of work experience after you finished your bachelor's at the minimum. Now you could roll right into your MBA and never worked a day in the office in your life, and that's creating more problems across the workplace.
Well, now, on the flip side of that, I'm going to just be devil's advocate, is that it has increased the number of kids that can pursue the dream of college, because now kids that live in a rural community or single mothers who now have got a little bit of time and they want to go back to their school now have the ability to at least try to go back for their education, because they have the ability. They don't have to be in the town where the college is.
Don't get me wrong. I have all the respect in the world for that. I mean, but there are certain classes you cannot take online and feel good about the 98% or 99% that most everybody gets in those classes. Just because you post your question, your answer twice a week to the question on the discussion board counts as your class time or whatever else. I've seen people who are terrible at math get 100% on their math class, their pre-calc, trigonometry, whatever it is, in their college programs. That's bullshit.
Okay, that's a good point. I would say that's a good point. I know for myself, the problem that I've had is, at least the ones that I've seen or done research on, those online schools are friggin' expensive.
They are.
For someone to be in debt $60,000, $70,000 from an online program, it seems almost criminal to me. It really does. It almost seems criminal.
Tom started his master's degree on an online program. He's in IT for his real job, and he's working for his master's in cybersecurity. And we were talking for what he wants to do. He said it justifies him moving up. It gives him a place in senior management later on because he has his master's. And most people in senior management, in any company, are required to have a master's degree, which is fine. In his field, I understand it. It makes sense. In your field, which is a similar field,
right?
It makes sense. And he and I were talking, goes, are you going to start yours? Like, I can't justify $30,000 for a master's degree for me. I just can't.
Yeah,
I've been in sales most of my life.
Yeah.
I don't plan on doing anything where I'm going to have to need my master's degree, and I have no desire to go back to school. I've been out for 15 years now, and just the thought of having to do it the way they do it now just bores the shit out of me. I need to have a teacher there in front of me.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. You can't teach law degrees online because they need that dialogue between students. And I'm with you. The problem with opening up the floodgates for anyone to get a college degree online is that it diminishes the value of a college degree.
Oh, absolutely, and that's always been my point when we do interviews in my department, or even across the board in other lives I've lived, where I'm glad you have your online degree, but what real world experience do you have on top of that, and what separates you from the other 5 people that have the same online degree?
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22 because without the degree, you can't get the job, but you can't get the job because you don't have any experience because all you have is the degree. It's a tough pill to swallow. Now, that being said, I've actually thought about it myself because I realized, just like Tom did, is that if I want to move up, the reality is they're looking for a degree. I had a friend actually who applied to United Health Group. And this person has a ton of experience, but doesn't have a college degree. And I'm thinking that's why the person didn't get past the first interview, because they didn't have the college degree. Now, someone who has a master's from an online school might have a prettier or better resume, but it's hard to really shy away from 30 years experience.
Yeah, you can't teach experience.
Like Noreen. Noreen's a perfect example. She has 30-plus years experience in the health insurance industry. And there were times when she was looking for a job that she got turned down because some kid, with 5 years experience had a degree and she didn't.
No.
Now, it worked out for her in the end because she was patient and she, found the right job that worked for her. But it's a fine line, and yet if I'm a single mother or I'm a single father or I'm a working parent and my kids have just graduated and I've always wanted to get a college degree, I don't mind that someone has the ability to go to an online program and get their degree for that.
Make no mistake about it. I'm not trying to say don't go to online school. I think anyone that wants to better themselves through brick and mortar schools, community colleges, online schools, I say go for it and do it. I just, like you said, I have an issue with what they charge, and for making everyone feel like that they're A+ students when they were solid C students in the past, because these professors online just want to get the students pushed through to get paid.
So let me ask you this. Arizona State has a pretty amazing master's program that you can do online. If you wanted to go to school and had ASU as your master's versus, let's say, University of Phoenix, does that make a difference to you?
For me, yes.
So, yeah, like if so for example, Harvard has online classes. You can't get a degree from Harvard, but they have online classes or certifications that you can take that having Harvard's crest versus a University of Phoenix or, some of the other schools that are out there.
And that's it. It's knowing, doing research on your school and seeing, are they a diploma factory or are they an offshoot of an actual university that's been around for 100 plus years?
Okay.
And that's the big thing. Like, is it just a strictly for-profit, I'm going to make you smart, I promise, wink, wink college? Or is it, an actual institution of academia?
Yeah, well, and I mean, I hope people as they listen to this are not trying to hear that, piss on online schools. This is just an open discussion about the virtual world that we live in. So I want everyone to keep that in mind, that if you have a virtual or a degree from an online university, by no means are we saying, that's a waste of your money, but there are some pros and cons that come with it that make it really difficult.
So, have you ordered from Amazon since you've been living down there, and how fast has it taken you to get that package?
I have ordered one thing from Amazon, and I had it the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, but the distribution center's down here, so whatever I ordered happened to be.
Well, I'm just asking questions about big city life,
Oh, hey, big city's a virtual world, man. Everything's virtual here. We have virtual tellers. We have virtual medicine now, where you just sit. And I know the KRMC has it too, but a virtual medicine where you just go, you sit in front of an iPad that has the camera on. There's a doctor on the other end that has a camera, and you talk to them like they're right there in front of you. They just don't stick the finger up the butt,
Well, that's a nice way of putting it.
Or make you cough,
So, just to wrap up this discussion, if you guys have any comments or your own thoughts of the online virtual world we are slowly moving into, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at Liquid Kernedge. We want to hear from you guys just to see what your thoughts are. I'm sure Tom has a lot of thoughts on it after he dropped his name a couple times and what he's currently doing here.
Well, and he has the same perspective as I do, probably. I'm not sure if Tom could work remotely, but I would imagine that being in leadership role.
I think he already does.
Oh, he does. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought he worked.
I think he works a couple days from a week from home when he wants to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you letting me talk about my work. But then it just got me thinking about it for a topic to discuss. So
hey, man, that's what we're here for. Just general open discussions about anything in life.
2018's been a great start for us, buddy.
It has been, man, and there's actually a lot of exciting things happening for Liquid Kernedge. We are working on a deal now that it's actually it popped up last week, and it's pretty exciting. And we're hoping that we'll have more information for you guys in the next week or so. But we're working on something that could really expand our listenership. So we'll keep you posted on that, man.
Hey, and make sure you're always sharing. If you like us, if you don't like us, but you have friends that might like podcasting, please share us. Share us on Facebook. Share us on Liquid Kernedge on Twitter. We'd love to grow the fan base and keep bringing great episodes to you. We love your opinions, so thank you so much.
Yeah, and I've decided that as one of the co-creators of the show to give Jason some metrics this year. Not virtual. Actually, they are virtual metrics. I want him to grow our listenership by 10%.
Wow. Okay, so from 4 to 4.5, I can do that.
Yeah, 4 and 4.25 actually.
Oh, okay. There we go.
You went to online school for math, so.
Hey, dude, I got a Harvard math degree. What are you, crazy? Come on.
It shows. Yeah, from Harvard, Florida. The community college.
Hey, one last thing. I want to give a shout out to our buddy Dean. His Vikings had the play of the year probably to keep his team back in the playoff hunt. I'm going to wish them good luck. Skol.
You know what the best part about that was?
What was that?
Since they took the knee on the extra point, they cost people millions of dollars in Vegas.
Because
they didn't cover the spread. At
some point, I'm amazed at how good those the odds makers are at determining the points. They said 5.5 points, and it was a 5 or 6 point game. That's incredible. And
I will give all the credit in the world to the Saints punter Thomas Morstead. I don't know. Well, you didn't see the games because you were with your mom all weekend.
No, I didn't get to see it.
He punted the ball early in the first quarter, and the Vikings return man made it all the way through to the punter, and he didn't just drop a shoulder, man. He jumped in the guy's back, tucked and rolled, and brought the running back down, or the return specialist down. Broke his ribs. Finished out the game. And when they had to kick that extra point at the end, that kneel down after that last second touchdown, all the Saints in the locker room said they had to bring that back out, 11 Saints, so they could make for the play.
Oh, God.
And he was one of the guys that came out and lined up for the extra point. So, man, that is guts.
Wow, that sounds like something Scott Kern would do, baby.
No, man. I would have had my uniform off and been on a plane drinking a hurricane on my way back to New Orleans.
I like it, dude. I like it. Well, thanks for a great episode, buddy.
All right, man. That was fun.
It was awesome, as usual.
So I'll let you go ahead and wrap it up, man. I'm Scott.
I'm Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Kernedge.